I'm pretty sure that you've seen countless of videos on productivity and how to be productive, how to be a productive person, but you've tried thousands and thousands of different things. Now, of course, I'm exaggerating when I say thousands. I mean, like, you tried a lot of things that don't seem to work. You don't seem to stick with certain things that you learn about. And the reason may be because you believe that you are inherently lazy, is because you believe that you're not at that level yet. You're not that type of person to be productive. But in this video, I'm gonna disprove everything that you believe in. I'm not here to sit here and say you're wrong, but I'm here to change the way you see that thing. I'm trying to give you a different perspective, a more fresher perspective that will eventually lead you to becoming more productive. But before I do that, I want to give you my own story on how I discovered productivity and how my journey is going right now. Now, the way I discovered productivity was by reading books and watching YouTube videos about productivity. And I learned it when I was about 14, 15 years old. At that time, I wasn't really that person like those authors or those YouTubers that would easily be productive. That concept seemed very foreign to me. I would look at them and be like, yo, you're like a superhuman. How can you just sit there for 2 hours and focus on a task and complete it? And I'm here. I set myself, for example, like schoolwork. I do that for 5 minutes and I can't focus. The key here to understand is the reason why I couldn't focus is because the reason why I couldn't focus was because I was lacking in my nervous system being regulated. The thing is, I suffered from a lot of anxiety. I suffered from a lot of different information and things that seemed to stress me out in a way. And I focused on them so much that caused me to self-sabotage in a way and not be productive at a task which I know I should be productive in. The reason why you and me, we struggle with being productive, and we look at these people and they're like, yo, why are you so productive for? The reason for that is because what we need to prioritize is feeling safety, regulating our nervous system, and then jumping onto productivity. If you don't build a foundation where you can be productive in, you can't really be productive. So during that time, I suffered from a lot of anxiety because I was going through a lot of things in my life, which honestly were a bit overbearing for me to deal with at the time. So I'm 19 right now, and I've dealt with things 2-3 years ago, even as recently as a few months ago, that were very traumatic in a way. But I don't want to go into too much detail about that. But what I want you to know is those things that happened, they made my productivity go from 75%, 80% back to 0, or even like, let's say 5%. I wasn't able to focus. And the reason why I wasn't able to focus is because my focus was on the worries that I had. My focus was on the things that I was going through at the time. And when you have half your brain focused on that thing and half your brain is trying to focus on the thing that you're trying to do, you can't really focus on that task truly, because that task will never yield any true results because you're not really putting your full attention and your full creativity into it. You might be triggered by certain things. For example, you may be in a relationship which triggers your anxious attachment style, or you may be in a situation with your parents where they might cause you to be in a fight or flight mode. You may be in a situation in your life generally where your flight or fight is so activated that you don't seem to turn it off. And at that point, it just feels like normal because that's just what your life has turned into. You might not be productive because your thoughts are all over the place and you're not able to focus on the task which is at hand. So what I want for you and for me is that we need to prioritize making our nervous system feel regulated, making us feel safe, prioritizing safety before we jump into productivity. And this safety will act as a foundation for our productivity, which we're going to build on the top. So first of all, how do we prioritize safety? The way we prioritize safety is by acknowledging the things that we are going through, is by, first of all, knowing that everyone has a different perspective. I don't know the full details of what you're going through. Neither does everyone on this platform or even anyone that makes a video. They don't know what you're going through. What you're going through is a unique situation. Some may find it easy to go what you're going through. Some may find it difficult to go what you're going through. But nevertheless, if it's difficult for you, you need to acknowledge that acknowledge the feelings that come with it. And when you acknowledge that, you try to understand your situation. And what I mean by that is you allow yourself to go through that period of time where you might not be productive, and you learn to forgive yourself for that. But at the same time, you feel the emotions that you're feeling. You don't suppress them, you don't hide them, you feel them. And when you feel them, you eventually let them go, because your emotions, they want to, kind of go away from you. But what's stopping them going is you, because you push them here. Because there's a certain part of you, inside of you, that finds pleasure by keeping those emotions down there. So some of the things that I did to regulate my nervous system or improve my safety was by prioritizing things that will regulate my nervous system. So the first thing that I did was I journaled quite a lot during those tough moments. I used to have like a notebook, and I used to write down everything that was going through my life, what I was thinking, what my plans were, what I was afraid of. I would write all those things down so I can actually see them. And if I didn't have my notebook, I would just put it on my phone. The second thing which I did was I tried to breathe. And when I mean breathe, I mean I tried meditation. And by meditation, I know mainstream meditation can seem like you're just sitting there like that, and it can be like, yo, what is this? It can be like, yo, like, how is this gonna help me? But the thing is, I did mindfulness meditation, and for some reason, for a few days, it just didn't seem to work. But in a couple of weeks, when I was consistent in it, when I did it for, like, let's say 5 minutes a day, I felt a very big difference, like a 0 to 1 sort of difference. And I actually felt that within my own body. I felt that I was able to be more productive without relying on things to make me more productive. For example, I wouldn't rely on coffee, or I wouldn't rely on different things that would boost my productivity. It would just come to me naturally because my thoughts were slowed down. Everything in my mind was slowed down, essentially. Now, the third thing is very interesting, and I don't know if anyone talks about it, but it's basically me going back to the things that brought me this comfort that I felt as a child. And that could be, for me personally, it's when I play video games that I used to do as a kid. And after like even an hour, I would hear the soundtrack, I would see the characters, I would play the game, and that would bring back a time when I was young, and I would play those games and I would have so much fun. And that essentially calmed down my nervous system. So if you can find anything that you did in the past that regulated your nervous system, that isn't harmful to you in any way. For example, you may binge eat food, but that's not really healthy for you. So you might have certain things that if you do them, you feel rested. So for me, that was me playing old video games that I did when I was 6, 7, 8 years old. And by playing those games, it kind of calmed me down, and it essentially regulated my nervous system. Now for you, that could mean cooking a meal that you liked as a kid, or bringing back those memories of safety and bringing back that feeling of being grounded in reality. So that being said, I hope this video was helpful to you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.